I'm just going to begin by introducing our speakers for today. So, as well as being one of the co-chairs of our shared world, Holly Everett is also Director of Community at Thoughtbox Education, and one of two UK representatives for the North-South Centre of the Council of Europe's Global Education Network. I did make it all through in one phrase there. For the North-South Centre of the Council of Europe's Global Education Network. So that's the hat she'll be wearing today to talk to us about this year's Global Education Week and its theme, Hope in Action. And she'll be doing that alongside fellow Global Education Network representative Mev Sahillioglu, and Mev represents Turkey in the Global Education Network and works as a freelance trainer and consultant and global education coordinator for Youth Services Centre. So in this role, she designs and conducts training on global education and global citizenship and works in advocacy, so organising Global Education Week annually, delivering trainings, facilitating meetings and implementing international projects. So a little bit of background, the North-South Centre's Global Education Network, I'm just going to let Clive back in, supports the implementation of global education activities, and it's made up of national stakeholders, including educators, policymakers, and civil society organisations. So very much our shared worlds tribes, all of whom promote global education strategies and practices. And the provocation later will be looking at what you're doing in your particular fields around the theme of hope in action. So Holly, without further ado, over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Kathy. Thank you. And yeah, thanks, Mev. Are you happy to share?
Sure, sure, sure,
And
sure.
nice. And then perhaps you can kick us off with just a little bit of a kind of
Yes,
introduction to what Global Education Week is and what the Global Education Network is.
sure, sure. Thank you for the invitation, by the way. Greetings from a warm and sunny Turkey day from Mersin and ICT. You are always welcome to Turkey, by the way.
Mhm.
So I work as Kathy presented me kindly, an independent evaluator for EU projects and working on global education right now, representing the global education coordinator as a coordinator for Youth Services Center. So thank you for the invitation. So Global Education Week is a North-South Center activity week all over the world at the same time. For the third week of November, we celebrate. So what is that? So there is a policy center called North-South Center, and it is under the Council of Europe. It has 32 member state countries, and UK is one of them. Turkey is one of them. You can check the maybe if Holly can send the link of the Global Education Week. You can check the website. So they are open to expanding, by the way, their members. So you are free to join the UK member country organizations, or if you have any friends from other continents, they are also welcome. So the purpose is to raise awareness on global education, but on the other hand, sharing good practices on global education, because there are really inspiring examples all over the world. And it's a good network. So that we met with Holly at one of those meetings I think it was in Molina in Spain.
Mhm.
So, as I said, the purpose is the sharing the best practices and raising awareness, but everybody in every country does it in their own way. So some organizes more activism and cultural activities, and some more official like summits or webinars. It depends on the country, but the purpose is to do the same thing at the same time. So right now, what is happening around the world on Global Education Week is there is a link that she says, so you can check. So every year, the members select the motto and the theme relevant to the agenda of the world. So what's happening in the world? So we voted for Hope in Action this year, and I think it was very relevant. So as Turkey, we completed our activities. But what I like about these activities is, for example, I was a speaker for Spain and Montenegro. And I invited Holly as a speaker for Turkey a couple of years ago. So I think that kind of international perspective and hearing from other countries is really enriching for hearing from different practices, different countries. So this is kind of, as I said, a network, a platform that works on global education. I hope I summarize it well, but Holly, please feel free to jump in if I'm,
Yeah, no,
redundant,
beautifully.
if I'm.
No, thank you, Mev.
Thank
I think that kind of summarizes that concept that we're all kind of doing our own different projects and approaches to global education, but it's a way of finding a joined up way of sharing that knowledge and
you.
collaborating with each other. Um,
Exactly.
so just to give a snapshot of what we did here in the UK for Global Education Week this year, our Shared World held a photo exhibition and we curated your photographs on the theme of hope and action, and they are available on the Our Shared World website. We're hoping that this is just the start of something. So it was a relatively small Global Education Week kind of movement here in the UK this year, because I'm only just getting back into the Global Education Network. But from next year, we would really love to kind of work more collaboratively with Our Shared World and with other countries and other coordinators to have a bigger movement. But already this photo exhibition brought in photos, not just from the UK, but from lots of the partners that we work with around the world, and just really started to bring to life some of the projects that we as a collective are working on and are seeing in this country and beyond. Yeah. Mev,
Mhm.
you did a little bit more in
Yeah.
Turkey. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, for, I would like to give a little bit background about Turkey. Maybe you haven't had the experience to, know about much. So, the Turkish youth in Turkey, there's no single type of Turkish young person. So it could be diverse in terms of what they would like to do, how they do it. But I can say that they are very much connected to the global issues, and they are connected on social media. Turkish youth is I think, the first in the ranking, in the first place in terms of using the social media in Europe. I think that shows that they are really on the internet, which is a problem sometimes. But that's the issue. Global education is not an official, it's not in the curriculum in Turkey. We have Ministry of Education and Ministry of Youth and Sport, so they don't conduct any official trainings, but NGOs are super active in Turkey, and they do teacher trainings, all kind of activism projects, or any raising awareness activities. So this year, what we did as Youth Services Center was more, of course, connected to the theme of Hope in Action. So it was about sustainable development goals, and we heard an example from Japan, because we had an academician who was in Japan working on SDGs. So we heard her experiences, and we talk about the climate justice and the verifying information in the digital age, which is a huge issue. I was in Korea, South Korea, a couple of months ago, and this topic was also being discussed worldwide. How we are manipulated by the news, and how education system is being affected, or young people are affected in terms of manipulation and disinformation. So those topics were our focus in this year for Turkey. But this activism project, because it's an international project, I would like to, talk about that a little bit more. So this is a CCIVS. I don't know if you are familiar with that. It's the International Volunteer Service. So the topic was to compose a song, not professional musicians, but just country participants composing a song about the climate change. And it is right now, you can reach it online. I can send you the link. And we asked the young people to perform however they feel like, after talking about what climate change means, how they feel about it. So it really, they showed a lot of interest. We were surprised. I think they were bored of listening, conferences or seminars, but more like acting, like active, as we say, hop in action. So they would like to be active in terms of doing something on about nature or anything. So I think that song was a nice tool and a nice activism project for Turkey and the other countries who were involved, like Italy, Kenya, France, South Africa, Estonia, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Palestinian. So they really I think that project could be a inspiring project in terms of hope in action. So I would like to, I wanted to share it with you. So this quote, maybe I head over to Holly that she can share this beautiful quote
Thanks,
that she
Mev.
picked.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think probably like many people, when I think about the idea of hope in action, I get the idea of Joanna Macy's active hope in mind. And I think, some those examples that Mev have shared all capture this idea of active hope or hope in action. And this quote for me kind of sums it up. The active hope is not wishful thinking. Active hope is not waiting to be rescued by some savior. Active hope says we belong to this world. The web of life is calling us forth at this time. We've come a long way and are here to play our part. And I think often the word hope can kind of get dismissed as kind of wishy-washy or kind of looking outwards and not really engaging in the world. But actually, what we've seen here with the examples of Global Education Week and the Global Education Network and beyond is this idea of hope in action, that actually things are happening. And if you're able to shift to the next slide, Mev, I think the other phrase that really comes to mind for me is this one from Hamilton, which is, "This is not a moment, it's a movement." So again, particularly when we think about Global Education Week, I think it's really easy to think, okay, well, what can we do for 1 week? Well, maybe we can do a nice photo exhibition or an interesting talk on digital literacy and leave it there. But actually, that's not the purpose at all of either Global Education Week or the network, or in fact, of any of what all of us on this call are doing. We're all looking for ways that we can take maybe a moment or a piece of something and start to create more of a movement, start to create change where we are doing what we do. And so, Mev, if you can click the next slide, there are kind of 3 parts of this. Oh, sorry, just back one. Sorry, I meant click once rather than go to the next slide. I wasn't clear there. There are kind of 3 elements that I've drawn out of that quote from Joanna Macy that I think are important for us to bear in mind when we're thinking about active hope or hope in action. For me, the first one is that it's sustained. So it isn't just that 1 week or that one day. It's not sort of a pop-up lesson on a topic, but it's something that starts a process. And I think, in fact, before we started this call, Anne or Kathy used the word process. And I think that's really important here. It's not about kind of a tick box. The second thing is that it is integrated. And what I mean by that is that it is a unique piece or part of a larger whole, so that it is doing its own thing. It has a purpose in and of itself, but that purpose is connected to a wider purpose that is connected to other parts. So again, we saw that with the Global Education Network, that each country are doing their own parts of Global Education Week, but it is connected to a larger whole. And then thirdly, and again, we've seen that in the examples, is this idea that it's collaborative, that we are not able to save the world, in inverted commas, on our own. In fact, we're not able to, that's not at all what we're trying to do here. But actually, we are part of a wider system. We are part of this beautiful planet, and we are part of incredible communities. And so when we're thinking about active hope or hope in action, it's not something that can just be done in isolation, but it needs to be something that is part of a collaborative piece. And so one example that we just wanted to kind of quickly share on this is our Triple Wellbeing Fellowship, which again is another example, like the Global Education Network, like Our Shared World, of individual parts, individual people who are each doing their own things in their own contexts, but as part of a wider whole. And we currently have 44 fellows, both graduated and current fellows, across 12 countries, and that fellowship is growing. And we just wanted to mention it because Mev is one of our fellows, and she was just going to share a little bit about what that means and kind of what Hope in Action looks like for the Triple Wellbeing Fellowship.
Mhm. I feel really honored to be part of this fellowship, by the way, because it was very transformative in my life. not only on a professional level, but also a personal level, because the fellowship was, it's both self-paced, which I liked. Also, but we had the coaching and mentoring piece. So I really benefited a lot. By the way, Rachel is here. So thank you, Rachel and Holly, for this great opportunity. What I like about the Triple Wellbeing Fellowship was, and I still use what I learned right now, currently at the training, for example, what is the connection to daily life? Because when we say well-being in Turkish, I said it during the fellowship too, we don't have a Turkish translation that means that makes sense in Turkish about well-being. So in terms of what it means, what is reflection in our lives, and there's a structure in the fellowship that we follow. So it was easy for me to go step by step, and also transform it to my trainings when I work with the youth workers here in Turkey. So this coaching and mentoring was really helpful. But I think the network, as Holly said, the people from all over the world, and what they are doing on well-being at different levels was so inspiring for me. So my experience was also important because there was the action research piece, which gave me the chance to implement what I learned from the fellowship. So what I did was, as I told you, there is a youth worker competency program right now under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. So I mainstream this well-being topic in the say curriculum of the content of the training. And my intention was not only for the participants, but also there was a big trainer team, because the number of participants is 2,580 people all over the Turkey. So these people are youth workers, but they don't know, they don't have the competencies because of the selection process and other things. So it was a real huge, I think, let me say, encouragement for me to take the support from the Wellbeing Fellowship Program, the Triple Wellbeing Program. So I think there is an upcoming cohort, Holly, right?
Yeah.
Soon,
So
maybe.
it'll be open to anyone that's been on our leadership program or our practitioner program. So if you did want to think about it, if you think it would be something that would be supportive for you, then do get in touch. And we are currently looking for our next cohort. But yeah.
Yeah, I also always, try to recruit people
You do,
from
yeah.
both from Turkey and from other countries, from the other countries too. So I'm a good advocate for this fellowship program. So that's all from my side in terms of the Global Education Week from what we did from Turkey. So if you need more information, because we don't have much time right now, maybe we get to our question, Holly, right?
Great. Yes, thank you. So I'll pass it over to Anne to share this question and send people into breakout groups.
Mhm,
But thanks.
mhm.
Thank you, Mev. That was really interesting, and thank you, Holly. So the question here is, how are you bringing hope in action in the way it's been explained to us, to the Our Shared World Collective? And Our Shared World has been around now quite a long time. I think I've been there since the beginning. And we go through phases of enjoying being together, and other times where we start to think about, well, actually, what are we doing collaboratively or collectively that is actually bringing us hope or making a difference. So if I could get you to think about what you're actually doing now, that is collaborative, where you're actually working with people, maybe in the sector, rather than saying, well, I work with children, but working collaboratively with others, is integrated and connected. So, you could look at this in two ways. One is that it could be you feel it's integrated to the web of life, or you feel that you're connected to the larger whole, or that you feel that you're belonging to the world, that the work is demonstrating how you're belonging to the world. And then, Holly's number one, which is sustained. So it's a process. It's not just a one-off project, and you've done it funded by someone, and you've done it and off you go. So can you go into the breakout groups that George will set up for you and share anything that you think is collaborative, integrated, and sustained in the work that you do, and make sure everyone in your group gets to say something as well. If you could write that down, that would be great, and then share it with us when you come back. Thanks very much. So, George, over to you.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So I know it's really not long to chat at all, is it? But I hope you had some good conversations. I'm going to pass over to the co-chairs again to, lead the next bit.
So I think that's me. Is that right?
Yep, that's you, Anne. Go for
Okay,
it.
thanks. Would any group like to just come back and tell us a little bit about an example that they're involved in that demonstrate this hope in action idea that's collaborative, integrated, and sustained? Group one, maybe? Who's group one? Anyone from group one? Thank you, Deborah.
I'm just texting saying I would love to spend 20 minutes to talking to the three of you further about how we can collaborate. So I think there's so much shared ground in what we're doing, and the key to unlock all of these things are collaborations. So I'm going to organize a call after this with the three of you. And anyone else who wants to do it. But I think I think there's so much rich cross-fertilization that we can do in terms of this kind of student-led direct action learning. And Clive's working on a topic with soil at the moment, which is very close to the metaphors that I love to use in terms of the biodiversity and the thought box education, like health and well-being for self, people, and planet. And Clive has huge knowledge in this area, and has been working on a report around probably can explain it better yourself, but around this, defining what it is to have this sorry, what was the phrase you used?
Transformative learning.
Transformative learning, thank you.
So you focus a little bit on student involvement and student led. Was that it? Yeah. And Laura's was part of your group as well. So it's a group of
what
four.
Laura's doing with Global Action Plan, and what Rob's doing as well.
Yeah, great. Okay. I think we could have joined that too as seed, but I'm not going to throw us in just yet. Group two was Louise, myself, and Karen. We talked about what Seed has been doing in change maker programs. Again, transformative learning led by the participants and led by young people. Also talked about the whole school approach that I started at WWF, and it carries on. And I'm not sure that people really always get the difference between the tick box whole school approach and a transformative and bringing culture, the sustainability culture, into an institution. But then left field, we had a very interesting chat with Karen, who comes from, this is not what I was expecting, who comes from a project that they started in 2018 called Responsible Project Management. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, because I often have to have arguments with people about this is not the standard project management, which is linear. This is a different approach. And so we heard about their program that they've been doing, how it's about professional practice and trying to shift professional practice to sustainability when it comes to project management. They call themselves a movement, which does mean they're looking at sustaining it. And they've now got 3 big professional bodies on board. So that sounds amazing work, even though Karen was being a little bit humble and saying it wasn't maybe quite the movement they had thought of, but it sounds like a really good chink in the armor is what I would say. So group 3. Who was in group 3? We covered everyone. Were there only 2 groups?
There were myself, Rachel, and Kathy in group 3, and Rachel's just shared in the chat about we talked about Kathy working with some EFL teachers in Turkey, and this idea of teaching reading is as much about reading the world as it is about reading the page, which Yeah, just beautifully summed it up, and just sharing, that as just one of the many pockets of hope in action that are taking place as part of this patchwork of hope, as Kathy has called it before this call. But yeah.
And it is a patchwork. There's no one answer. There's no one route in. There's some really interesting routes in there that I think we've unearthed. We're sort of running out of time. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is that we would like to carry this conversation on, and thinking about, how we can do this more in the Our Shared World collective, or I used to call it the Coalition of the Willing, but that's now taken up by Ukraine, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's a collective now. And we've got an event that we've booked. It will only be for 48 people. So it's a room in the Institute of Education on the 21st of January. So soon there will be an announcement of this. Have we got a slide on this? The last slide? No. Okay. So it's 21st of January in London at the Institute of Education. It makes me think that if we can do it regionally in other places, and we have no money because this is, as I say, a coalition of the willing with absolutely no money. So if anyone knows of a location where we could do it regionally, I think we should think about that a little bit more as well. And what we want to do is think again more clearly about this collaboration and how working together we might do more than we could do on our own. And that's the purpose of it. And so fantastic, Deborah, that you've already begun to identify people that you want to work with. It's great. So Wednesday, the 21st of January at the Institute of Education. Is it in the afternoon or is it all day?
It is in the afternoon. It's
in
12.
The afternoon.
Sorry, it's just hot off the press, so we will send around details of it. But I just wanted to leap in there with Deborah. You came up with this phrase, "our shared ground," and I think that we're going to pick up on that if you'll allow
Nice
us
phrase.
as a theme for that gathering. That's a really lovely phrase. Our shared soil. Anyway, back to you.
So we will be recording this, and it will be available on the Our Shared World website. But as I say, keep an eye open for the event and book yourself in, because you may not realize this, but Our Shared World has got a database of over 400 and something now. George, how much is it now?
I think it's 490. I think we're nearing 500 now, which is very exciting.
And what that shows is that everything that we do generates more people coming in because of that jigsaw, that patchwork of ideas and approaches that all fit under this idea of our shared world and education. So on behalf of the co-chairs, I'd like to thank you all very much for attending today. A very big thank you to Mev for coming all the way from Turkey.
Thank you.
Via the interweb. And I'm sure Mev will hear a lot more from you in the future, because it sounds like some fabulous youth work there, which we don't often get. So it'd be really interesting to hear more about the youth work. And thank you, Holly and Rachel, for sharing your triple well-being ideas as well.